Hello students, I welcome you all to Current Affairs lectures by Azad ICS Academy. Today we will be discussing about the 3rd December 2024 current affairs. Today we are discussing three important topics. Without wasting any time, let us get into details of the topics. The first topic that we are going to discuss is Oxford Study Lots Pragati system for fast tracking projects. So in this article, there is a study or a university, Oxford University, and it is basically appreciating the Pragati system of Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, which was inaugurated or it came into picture or it was launched in 2015, right? So let us understand what is this Pragati system, what does it stand for, what exactly happens in Pragati system. Along with that, we'll also see what is mentioned in the article. The study of Oxford University's Business School said has lauded Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's Pragati infrastructure monitoring system for accelerating 340 projects worth $205 million across the country and bringing about economic transformation. So what you need to understand here is there were around 340 projects that have been accelerated because of this particular Pragati system. Now let us understand what is this Pragati system. Pragati system basically stands for proactive governance and timely implementation. See, the name itself is talking about being a very good governance body or governing body and timely implementation. See, if the government is saying that they want to make roads, it's not just about saying, right? It is also implementing them according to the time or in time. So to complete all the projects in time, this particular Pragati will be a game changer. Now we'll see what is it. It is a multinodal and a multi-purpose platform that was launched by Indian government in 2015. Now, why was it? It was there to facilitate the real-time governance and monitoring of infrastructure projects and key government schemes also. So let us assume that any infrastructural project, it could be construction of a building, or it could be, construction of any road, or it could be construction of any kind of railway line or port or any such kind of thing. All these come under infrastructure project. And any government schemes which are pending, all these things need to be streamlined. And all these things to streamline, we have a system that is right now Pragati, which was launched in 2015. Now, basically what it tries to do, or how is this making efficient, successful results? The reason is because it is trying to, provide efficient project delivery by facilitating coordination. See, if you want to build an industry, you need to take clearance from many different departments. Like you need to take clearance from the environment department. You have a environment impact assessment that needs to be done. So all these things will be there. So what happens here is in Pragati, all the important ministries are coming together under one platform. Center and the state people are coming together, and ministerial also and interdepartmental issues are also resolved under one platform itself. So you can see here, bringing together center state governments on a single platform to address interministerial and interdepartmental issues. So whatever department issues are there, they are also getting addressed. Whatever state and center issues are there or state related issues are there, all those will be addressed here. Apart from this, we are trying to do real-time monitoring. See, real-time monitoring example in our day-to-day life also. If you are working in any organization like a school or even a college, or even if you're working in any, IT companies, what happens is you have biometrics. Why do you have this? So that people can track your movements. That when did you come into the office? When did you leave the office? They can have a real-time monitoring. Similarly, here also what we have is we have real-time monitoring of the projects using digital tools. So what happens here is anybody who's working may upload whatever work is done or how much of work they have done. So like this, if digitally all the things are, monitored on real-time basis, what happens here is if there is any issue that is coming up with the project, that will not get stopped and it will be easily resolved and they can easily continue further. So that is also done under Pragati system. Direct oversight. Involve direct oversight from the Prime Minister, which helps and expediting decision making and resource allocation. So if Prime Minister is putting extra efforts or seeing that particular project particularly, then what happens is the other organizations will become very sharp. They'll try to work on a better scale, you can say, and that will make that infrastructure development in a better manner also, because somebody like Prime Minister is having a oversight on it. So these are certain things that are happening under Pragati system. And because of this system, you need to understand this is a very important number. 340 projects have been accelerated or have been, successful because of this particular system, right? Now we'll see what are the key points that are mentioned in the article. Okay. Digital collaboration. Pragati has embraced digital technology. As I already mentioned you that digital technologies are there because like biometric, how it is used to monitor. Similarly, we are doing digital collaboration. So we are enhancing the cooperation among various governments levels also. As I already told you, we are having center and the state coming together. Different types of state issues will be resolved. All the ministers or ministries are coming together, helping overcome bureaucratic hurdles. See, as I already told you, you need to get permissions from many different ministries. So all of that will be reduced. So some kind of bureaucratic hurdles or the steps or the processes will get reduced. So the time will be reduced. Leadership involvement. As I already told you that Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, he himself is overseeing these particular projects. Then what happens here is that that project will be accelerated automatically. The active involvement of India's top leaders, including PM Modi chairing and the Pragati meetings is crucial component for platform successful. Means every time there's a meeting. See, whenever I used to work in the school, I would literally get scared when there's a meeting. Because maybe they have given us some work in the last meeting and they will be asking about in the next meeting, they'll be asking about what happened about that particular task. Or it's not like I'm scared, but I would be very cautious or I would be very nervous about the next meeting. So whenever the meeting is announced, then I would prepare what points were discussed in the last meeting. So similarly, there is a meeting that happens again and again. Then people will be aware and they will have to share their progress. In that case, they will have to do some work. And like this, the leadership involvement will make sure that the projects are successfully carried out. The high level oversight adds urgency, as I already told you, because somebody is watching you, you will urgently do that work. See, whenever if any teacher is giving me some work, I would keep it aside and do the work that is told by principal ma'am to do, right? So that is because higher leader or higher leadership quality or somebody at a higher level is asking me to do so. So I will make sure that that is done on the urgent basis and facilitate quick decision making, resource allocation, and team motivation also. Obviously, if principal is coming in, asking me or assigning me some work, I would be feeling proud of myself because somebody like that leader is coming and asking me to do work, right? So imagine I'm just giving you example of a principal, but if Narendra Modi ji is saying that you need to do this, automatically people will start getting motivated. Oh, this work will be noticed by Narendra Modi ji, and this resource allocation has to be done, and the decision should be quickly taken. We cannot delay. So all these kind of motivation will be implemented in the workers, and the projects will be accelerating. Global lessons also. India approaches to accelerating infrastructure projects offer valuable lessons for the global leaders aiming to use infrastructure as a key driver for economic development. So we can be an example for other countries. Other smaller countries or bigger countries which are not doing these kind of projects can look how India is practicing. Maybe they can use their version of it, but at least we will be a lesson for them. Now, project reviews. The Prime Minister has chaired 44 Pragati meetings reviewing 355 projects worth 18 lakh crores in Indian rupees. The study highlights 8 mega infrastructure projects that have been successfully expedited through these meetings. So because of these meetings, many of them, especially 8 mega infrastructure projects have been successfully expedited through this particular meetings because there has been meeting. You need to understand that there were 44 Pragati meetings, not just one or two. Since 2015, there are so many meetings that are happening. So automatically what would happen is that people would, literally work hard for this particular infrastructure to give results or to be very successful in this meeting, right? The next important thing that we need to understand is some of the achievements, because when you are writing mains answer, you need to know what are the achievements, at least one or two examples. So you need to understand here, as I already mentioned, by June 2023, it has fast-tracked somewhere around 340 projects, okay, that was valuing more than rupees 17.3 lakh crores. And we can also mention about the 44 meetings that were there, right? And efficiency and accountability. The platform has increased the culture of accountability and efficiency, reducing delays and improvement in project outcomes. As I already told you again and again, if there are meetings that have been held, automatically what would happen here is accountability, because in the next meeting, you're accountable to whatever work you are doing. If you're not doing it, you should be answerable to it. So that is making it accountable, and it is also making you more efficiency because you're not procrastinating and not putting the projects for tomorrow, and you're completing it with urgency. So there are no delays. You're reducing the delay and also making sure that because leader is involved, you're also making that the improvement in the project outcomes are also better, right? So this is something that you need to understand here. What are the challenges? See, in spite of Pragati being very successful, it has got some challenges. What is this? How much ever you want to reduce the bureaucratic hurdles, there will be some or the other issues that you cannot eliminate. So similarly, there are some complex bureaucracies, like navigating the complex bureaucratic structure of India can be challenging. So it is kind of challenging because it is very difficult for us to, identify all the nodal agencies that are involved and one or two agencies are left out, then that would create a bureaucratic hurdles. As and while Pragati helps, it cannot completely eliminate the bureaucratic hurdles. This is something that you need to understand. To whatever extent you go, there will be some of the other small challenges that you will face. Coordination across the states. While platform enhances coordination, aligning the priorities and capabilities of various states can be complex because maybe one state wants something else and the another state wants something else. Maybe their conflicts would also impact the infrastructure or any kind of project. So because of all these, coordination across the state, that can also be a hurdle for this particular Pragati system. Technological infrastructure. See, as I told you that we need to have digital tools. For that, you need to have efficient, AI tools or digital tools or the stakeholders whom we can trust upon because we are feeding in a lot of data. So technological infrastructure is also something that is very big challenge for us because we need to make sure that all the stakeholders have access and can efficiently use the necessary digital tools, right? Remains a challenge, especially in those areas where the development is very, very less. No sustainability. While the platform promotes sustainable practices, balancing rapid development with environment and social concern is an ongoing challenge. As I already told you, we have to do environment impact assessment. Imagine that if we want to accelerate a project, what we would do is if we surpass or if we skip environment impact assessment, then what would happen here is we are not taking the public opinion. We are not doing the impact of environment. So in that case, what would happen here is the environmental factor would get challenged. Or if we are not taking the concerns about the people, if there are some tribal group that are staying in that particular place and you're trying to vacate them, you're not taking their consent. In that case, what would happen is it would be a social concern. So we know we are doing sustainability, but in the process of accelerating, there would be a possibility that we may not look into environment or social concerns. This could be a challenge, right? Now, what are the important way forward to overcome these challenges? Right? Enhance digital capacities. This is something that you need to understand that we need to have a better technology infrastructure so that the real-time data sharing is happening. Big Pragati is successful because we're trying to monitor it on real time. Now, to do this, if we have good digital tools, then Pragati is a best system. Right? Similarly, what you have to understand here is capacity building, training government officials and stakeholders to improve their ability to enhance the platform. See, a lot of people are still not aware of AI. So you might have seen a lot of ads that are coming up on YouTube saying that for 99 rupees, do AI course and do chat GPT course, you can get 17 lakh, 24 lakh package per annum. So all these ads are coming. The reason is because they're trying to promote artificial intelligence. That is still a lot of people are not aware of artificial intelligence or a lot of people are not aware of how to use digital tools. So it is very important for us to do capacity building, train the government officials during the training itself, talk about how to use these platforms and how this particular Pragati system works. Right? Policy reforms, streamline policies to further reduce bureaucracies. As I already told you that bureaucracy is some of the important challenges that we all face in anything or any governance issues or any issue or any new scheme is coming up, there will be bureaucratic hurdle. So these bureaucratic hurdles have to be made less and enhance decision making process. Public private partnership. So it is always better to have some private sector also involved. So it is you can get some more experience and more expertise and more resources as well. Focus on sustainability. As I already told you, we need to make sure that the environment, social consideration is always important. However important the project is, we are not supposed to skip environment impact assessment or take concerns of the people over there. We cannot skip these things, right? By addressing these challenges and focusing on the structured enhancement, Pragati can continue to play a vital role in India's infrastructure development and economic transformation. No doubt, Pragati is a very good system. If we are able to, somehow remove the challenges, I am understanding that it is impossible for us to remove 100% challenges, but at least reduce the challenges, then the Pragati is the best system because it's not me who is saying it, it is Oxford University who is appreciating this particular system, right? So this is for this particular article. Next important article that we need to study is India's One Nation, One Subscription Plan. So we need to understand what is the subscription related to and what is open access. See, I'll tell you something. If I am doing some kind of research, okay, under government organization, not a private research. I'm doing some kind of government organization, under government organization, I'm doing some kind of research. Now, this research paper is not available to everybody for free of cost. Then this is basically a traditional subscription method. If you want to read that particular research paper, let us assume you're also doing a similar research. This we faced when we were engineers and we had to do project in the final semester. And when we were doing research, I also wanted some research papers. At that point of time, we had no that much money and we had to buy the subscription of that particular paper so that we can read it. But right now, that is not the situation because in One Nation, One Subscription, what we are trying to do here is we are trying to make these research papers which are by public freely available for all the public, right? So that is the importance of this particular One Nation, One Subscription plan. So the global research ecosystem is indeed increasingly embracing open access or OA publishing. Don't worry, we'll discuss about this in detail. Moving away from the traditional subscription-based models. Now, what is traditional subscription-based models? See, if I have a research paper, okay, now this is not made freely available to everybody. You will have to pay a fees for it, right? And then this particular subscription. For example, if you want to take Hindu newspaper on phone, what do? It is not available to you freely, right? You can only read the headline, but what is there inside the content, you cannot. You have to subscribe for it. Pay some money and then you can get this newspaper to you. Similarly, if you want to read some research papers, you had to pay this fees. That is how the traditional subscription model is. Now we are not doing that. We are going to open access publishing. What is this open access publishing is the next topic that we'll be discussing. So this basically refers to a practice of making research papers freely accessible to everyone. Read this particular statement clearly. We are trying to make this freely available to everyone. So this is a practice of making research papers freely accessible to everyone. So if I have a research paper and I am making it freely accessible to everyone, this is in contrast, or this is exactly opposite to what happens in the traditional subscription model, where access to research is restricted to those who can afford to pay. That means if you want to do some research, you need to pay some heavy amount or fees. That is when you can get that particular paper. But in open access publishing, what we are trying to do here is we are trying to make it open to everybody, right? For example, you have this chat GPT, right? It is open to everyone, right? You can do access certain kind of information. You can go to pro if you're able to pay more money, you can do it. But there are some AI tools which will just give you one chat free and remaining ones you have to pay. Just for sample, it will give you free of cost. But that's not open access publishing. Open access publishing would be there is a paper and you can review it without paying anything. Where this shift towards OA is driven by belief that the scientific knowledge often funded by the taxpayers should be accessible to all. Let me give you an example. If I am working in IIT, okay, now if I am a professor, let us assume, and what I will do here is I will do a kind of a research paper. Now, where am I getting money from? Tell me. It is the taxpayers who have paid the tax, and from that particular tax, I'm getting this knowledge of research, right? So what they're trying to tell us is that why we are coming to this particular open access publishing is because the taxpayers have funded us to do this research. So when they have funded us to do this research, I think we should also make this research paper accessible to everyone. That is the reason they say that we need to go to open access publishing. Now, when it comes to open access publishing, there are three different types. The first one being the golden open access publishing. Here what happens is the publishers make the research paper available to everyone. But for that you need to pay a small amount that is called an article processing charge. You can see often funded by an article processing charge. What is this article processing charge? We will see that also. Right? So see, it is a fee that authors or an institution pays to the publishers to make a research article open access. This fee covers the cost of publishing process, includes peer review, editing. See, if I am doing a research paper, it will not be that I am doing it just for free, right? I would require some kind of money. And that is this article processing fee. Now, sometimes this article processing fee can also be very high. But basically in golden open access, what happens is with the small or pay, that is article processing charge if required. If this is paid, then whatever you can see in this particular picture, whatever is there is now a open access journal. So let us assume that this person, I am a researcher here, okay, who decides to publish. Now I have got two different or three different options. The first option is that I will go to golden route. Okay, in this what happens is golden OA route. In this we'll have to pay a small amount and it will be made open access, right? Now why are we paying this small amount? Here you can see the author or their institution pays to a publisher. Now I am an author, I have made this researcher, now I want to publish it. I cannot publish it my own, I have to go to some publishers and make sure that this particular article or research article is open to everyone. Why am I paying them this particular article processing fee? So that whatever cost is there, the publication cost, or if you have to edit it, the editing cost, the online hosting cost, all these costs I'll have to pay, right? But you need to understand is sometimes this particular thing can be quite hard as $6,790. This is charged by Nature Communication Publishers. So there is this Nature Communication Publishing house, and they are charging this much money as article processing fee to make your research paper free of cost. Apart from this, if you don't want to pay any such amount, you have an option called as green open access. Now, what happens in the green open access? Let me tell you. See, I have research paper. I will not publish it. Okay, I will not publish it. I will put it in something called as repository. I'll put it in what? Repository. Don't worry, we'll discuss about repository also in the next slide. What is open access repository? So what I will do here is authors self-archive a version of it in their institution or subject specific repository. So what we're doing is we are putting it in the repository and we are making this repository. So you can see search for repository and we are kind of self archiving it. And what we're doing is now we are making this particular repository accessible for free. So this is basically set for how long this is supposed to be done is all set by the publishers. For now, try to understand here. This is mostly people do this. Here you will have to pay some amount and this amount is very high. Apart from that, this option is very good. The second option of green open access is also good. Here authors are putting it in self-archive or they are putting it in the repository. And that repository is made available freely. And the third option is hybrid. This is basically traditional subscription journal. Means here what happens here is it offers the author to make an option. You can make it for free or you can make it for some subscription based, whatever you want to do. So it is up to you. You are paying the money, so you anyways you have to pay article processing charge here. So if you want to charge it, you can charge it. If you don't want to charge it, if you really want to keep it for free, you can do it. So open hybrid is it's up to you. Whoever the author is, either they want to make it free or either they want to charge it. So these are the different types of open access publishing that we have. Now we'll see what is the meaning of open access repository. So first we'll understand this and then we'll see what are the challenges that are there with this particular open access repositories or open access publishing. Open access repositories are digital platforms where researchers can deposit their work to make it freely accessible. These repositories can be institutional, where universities host their work for their researchers or subject specific, focusing on a particular field study. So what happens here is, as I told you, that if I want to publish this, I need to give something called as some fees, right? And that fees can be very high. So if I don't want to give that fees, what I can do here is there will be many institutions. I can just go to that particular institution and put all my research work as a repository there. It's a digital platform where the researchers can deposit their work. Means I can go and deposit my work and that will be freely available to all the people, right? So we are trying to focus on any different particular field. Then also I can go and, for example, if there is an environment topic and if I have done research on environment, I can go and post it in that particular environment field that will be made access freely to everyone. That is basically open access repositories. Now let us understand what are the challenges that we have when it comes to open access repositories. We have some issues with structure, that is structural issue in publishing. The dominance of few major publishers and high ACPs pose challenge to equitable access. So I already told you that the authors have to pay some fees, and if this fees is very, very high, everybody will not be able to give that research paper for publish. Okay, and very few major publishers are available. Open access should be ideally reduced cost and democratized access, but current system still has financial barrier. So right now, whatever system that we have, still we are supposed to pay high amount of fees, right? So that is not giving us equitable access to this particular research paper. That is one of the issues that we are facing. Apart from this, we have copyright issues also. Researchers should be encouraged to retain rights to their work. See, for example, there is a company, okay? Let us assume there is a XYZ company. Now, this company, I'm working with this company. Now, what happens is if I do some kind of research, the patent will be based on this company's name, right? So, what this copyright says is the researchers should also be encouraged. So, some rights should be given to their work because I'm working here. I should also get some rights. I should be enabled to share it freely and protect my intellectual property right also. See, there are some cases, like there are some companies between individual and Taylor and Francis and Microsoft. So, what happens here is anything that research is done or any individual the research is doing in Microsoft, the name will be under Microsoft and not with that particular individual. So some kind of rights should be given to that particular individual also so that he can make it available or she can make it available to people around. That is copyright issue. Then we have self-reliance. Countries like India have a potential to develop robust indigenous publishing systems, reducing reliance on Western publishing and promote local journals as well. So we need to understand that for better infrastructure, we are trying to depend on others. But instead of doing that, we need to be self-reliant. How we have Digital India and Make in India projects, similarly, we also need to have our own indigenized publishing system so that we are not depending on somebody. The authors don't have to pay money to somebody else, right? Then we have preservation. Ensuring long-term access to digital content through self-archive or green OA practice is critical to avoid loss of knowledge if the journal itself shut down. So let us assume that there is a journal and I've put all my research work here. And what if this gets corrupt or what if this gets shut down? Then there is, loss of content. So see, most of the people would go for green AI. Why? Because in hybrid model also you will have to pay money, and in open AI also you have to pay money, right? In that case, which one is the easiest option is to go through green OAI. That is green open access. In green open access, I'm not supposed to pay any money because I'm supposed to go and store my work in the repository and that will be made available. And what if that repository in which I've stored, if that gets corrupt or if that gets destroyed or that gets vanished or shut down? In that case, there is a issue of me losing my information. So that is one of the other challenges that is being faced. Now you need to understand why there is a trend of this open access. Like so far we do not had any kind of open access, then why do we have it now? The reason is that 53% of the scientific papers are now available to open access in some form, a significant increase from previous years. So you can see that this 53 is significant increase. This trend reflects the growing recognition of a need of publicly funded research to be accessible to public itself. As in the first slide, we had seen that the taxpayers' money is being utilized for the research. So that research paper should be available to public, right? So that is the reason this should be made available in public is what is the opinion. Apart from this, we need to understand that the push of open access is driven by the need of democratizing knowledge. That is making sure that the knowledge is equally available. Especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a need of access to researchers, the different research, whatever is happening so that we can make better vaccines. And that is when it was triggered also. We also need to understand there are policy shifts. Many countries like United States and European Union are mandating that publicly funded research be freely accessible. This shift will increase the volume of open access research available globally. So some countries are saying that something that is done in public or government organizations that should be freely or public funded should be freely accessible to the public. Economic implications also, we need to understand that the traditional model have been criticized for high cost. So as I told you that you have to pay subscription, so it is very high cost with publishers enjoying profit margin of 30%. And this is obviously not having equitable publishing models. So hence we want to provide equitable sharing of resources. That is why this particular open access is in trend, you can see. Apart from this, let us discuss about India's One Nation, One subscription scheme. So what is it basically? We are trying to have a financial investment. So this particular scheme will involve a significant financial outlay of rupees 6,000 crores over 3 years. Means for 3 years, they're going to give this much money so that we can have open access. Okay. Open access publishing. This investment aims to provide, look at this, equitable access to journals across the public institution in India. So whichever journals that are there in the public institutions, all of that will be made easily available to everybody. For this, we are kind of investing this much money for 3 years. Now, there are some criticism. What are the criticism that they are there? So critics argue that this particular scheme may be investing in an increasingly subscription model when the global trend is moving towards OA. When the research becomes freely available, the necessity of such large investment and subscription is kind of questioned. So, is it required? Is this much money required to make this open? Is the criticism that we have. Apart from this, what is the potential benefit that we're getting from this particular scheme? The scheme promises to have equal access to the research, enable institutions across India to access wide range of scholarly work regardless of their financial capacity. Irrespective that I have money or I don't have money, because I have open access, I can openly read through any research papers. So this particular scheme will make research easy for me. It will make all the resources easy for me, right? So because of this, many more innovations can happen. So this is one of the potential benefit that we have in India's one nation, one subscription scheme. Now, what are the challenges that we are going to face in India also? The first important thing that is high article processing charge. I already told you that the authors have to pay APCs, right? And that is very high. Golden OA models, while providing free access to readers, can impose significant cost to authors. This creates a new financial barrier, particularly for the research in developing countries. For example, if I am a research person and I may not have that much money to publish it, and I already told you in Green OAI, we have some critical issues like there could be a possibility that entire folder may get shut down. I may not be able to publish it. So my research is not freely available to everybody because of my financial barrier. That is high article processing charge. This is one of the issue. The other issue is copyright issue. Traditional publishing often requires authors to transfer copyright limited within their control over their work, dependency on also Western publishers. So first thing is, we are transferring the copyright. The copyright that we have is very limited to the work that we have done. And we're also depending on other countries, Western publishers. And this scholarly publishing ecosystem is dominated by few Western publishers. This dominance can limit the growth of local publishing initiatives and maintaining high cost for access. So if I am not having a proper publishing company, I'm going to a company, obviously they will charge me high, and to maintain their cost access, I will not be able to, do it. And what will happen here is there will also be kind of limited growth in the local publishing initiatives also. Now, what could be the directions that we have to overcome these challenges? So, develop indigenous publishing capabilities. So, what we need to understand here is that India should have its own publishing system instead of depending on Western publishers. So, we can enhance the local research, right? Encourage green open AI. So, we need to understand that the policies that support self-archive and use of institutional repositories can enhance without high cost associated with a gold OEM. But we also need to make sure that this information that is there, we have some kind of other repository of whatever is there, because this should be no shutdown or crush of that particular repository, right? Right retention policy. Encourage or mandate policy that allow the author to retain. So we need to make sure that whoever is the author will have some kind of copyright, could empower researchers and support their work, right? Invest in infrastructure and training. We also need to make sure that we are having a proper digital infrastructure, provide training and research to institutions that can facilitate this kind of open access model. Everybody cannot do it. So we need to make sure that everybody is aware of such kind of open access models and how to use it. All this kind of capacity building has to be done. Evaluating long-term strategies. So we also need to make sure how long-term, or in a long run, this particular one nation, one subscription is going to help us. Given a rapid changes in the global policies towards open access, initiative like One Nation, One Subscription should continuously reassess its strategy to ensure that they remain relevant and cost effective. See, it's not just introduction of the scheme, right? We also need to make sure that all the challenges that we are coming up, especially the copyright issue and the issue that is related to high cost, that should somehow come down. We need to do a lot of capacity building, and we need to make sure that we are assessing that strategy after every few maybe months or years. We need to kind of have meetings, assess what have been in the development and how can we make it better. So in this way, what will happen in the long run, this one nation, one subscription will play an important role. So the name itself is saying that for one particular nation, we'll have one subscription so that every research paper done through public is available for the public. Remember, the taxpayers' money is involved. So hence it should be available to the public is what it says. So now next important article that we're going to discuss is citizens with disabilities. making their right real. So here we are going to talk about the people who are suffering from disabilities and how they are making their rights real. So there is some kind of data that is given in India or according to national data of India, and there is some information that is given across the world or international data as well. But you can see that there's a huge amount of difference. We'll see what is the difference here. See, the reports that we have 2011 census data. This is how the article basically starts with the data. Here we need to understand that which reports that the person with disabilities make up to 2.21% of India's total population. This is underestimated because it is not correct. I'll tell you why. Because 2019's WHO survey conducts across India, Kazakhstan, and Lao People's Democratic Republic. In these three countries, this particular survey will be done, and the survey finds that 16% of the Indian adult experience severe disabilities, highlighting the discrepancies of Indian national data reporting. So you can see the discrepancy here. So somewhere like 13.79% of discrepancy or difference you can see. Right? So that's really not correct, and that is one of the concerns that is being mentioned in this particular article. Now, we also have to understand what are the legal framework that we have to address the disabilities or to give rights to the people with disability. There are two things that we need to understand at the global level, at the national level. Global level, we have United Nations Convention on Rights of Person with Disability, and India has ratified it on 1st of October 2007. It requires the state parties to align with national legislature with the convention principles. So basically in this, what happens is India needs to make sure their national legislature and the convention principles are aligned together, so that we are focusing on social and human right model for disabled people. So we provide proper rights for these disabled people. To do this, what India should do, it should align with the conventions principle and also national legislature. This is at the global level. At local level or at national level in India, we have Right of Person with Disability Act of 2016. It is also called RPWD. Right? So RPWD Act we have. Now this actually enacted to replace. There was another act in 1995, not of important because it's not there right now. So we will not discuss about it. Now that was focusing or it was emphasizing on definition of disability, what is the meaning of disability, and it recognizes 21 categories and offers comprehensive rights and entitlement of to the people with disability. Means what is disability? It is recognizing 21 different characteristics of or categories of disabilities, and what are the different entitlements, what are the different kind of facilities that these people should get. All of this is mentioned in this particular RPWD Act. Okay, so we have discussed about what is RPWD Act as well. Now we'll understand about the state commissions. See, every state will have some commissions, state commissions. We will discuss about state commissions more in detail when you're discussing polity. But here I'll give you some overview as well. Now, what are the functions and roles of state commissions when it comes to giving some kind of facilities to the disabled people? We'll understand that. So some of the powers are given to it. The first power that it gets is quasi-judicial authority. See, quasi means false. Judicial is, you understand, it is given some judicial authority. What is that? We'll understand. Under the section 82 of RPWD Act, which we saw in the previous slide, state commissions are granted powers similar to that of civil courts, not criminal courts, civil courts, as per Civil Procedure Code of 1908. This includes ability to summon witness, demand documents, and conduct inquiry. Means state commissioners have got some power. If any person with disability is not getting any kind of facility, and if they go to this particular state commissioners, they have this power that they can ask for witness, they can ask for documents, and they can also conduct inquiry. So this is the authority that they get. Judicial proceedings also. Every proceeding before the state commissioner is judicial proceeding under. Means if any proceeding is happening in front of the state commissioner, it is considered as a judicial procedure itself or proceeding itself. Under which act? Under the section 193 and 228 of Indian Penal Code, reinforcing the authority to ensure compliance with this particular act. So here you can see that state commissioners are getting some kind of role here, some kind of power, so that at a ground level itself, what they are able to do is they will be able to give some kind of solutions for the people who are with disability, right? Next thing that we have to understand is the challenges. What are the challenges that we have when it comes to this particular act or the role of commissioner? Appointment procedure. See, the RPWD rules allow the appointment of the commissioner with the substantial experience in the relevant field. However, many commissioners are civil servants from the nodal ministry, which can compromise the role independence. Only 8 states have appointed non-civil service commissioners, undermining the intended impartiality and oversight. So these commissioners basically do not have much knowledge. Okay. See, I'll tell you something. I face this a lot. There is one of the workshop that I attended in which IAS officers did some of the rules in such a way that impacted basically the state rules in a very bad manner. I'm just giving you an example, not telling you exactly what, but just understand. So if this particular person or a commissioner is not having knowledge about that role that they're going to do, right? Because they'll have to have a lot of knowledge about this, how can they help this disability people or people with disabilities. And if they're not aware of such kind of things, then that will obviously have impact. And you need to understand that only 8 states have appointed non-civil service commissioners who can have this intended impartiality and oversight. The remaining ones are putting those IAS officers which may not have this knowledge and civil servants which may not have this knowledge. So that is one of the important problem that we have. Lack of resources and capacity. Obviously, many state commissions lack sufficient resources, training, ability to perform their efficiency. This includes limited financial resources, personnel, access to legal and technical expertise. See, as a civil servant, you will be given training to do administration, right? But there would be a lack of training that you would have, that is access to legal and technical expertise. You may not have that much knowledge to particularly address that issue. So that is one of the issue that you have. Inadequate proactivity. Obviously, a lot of them, that is a failure to initiate suo motu, means by yourself, or you will not do initiative by yourself unless somebody else comes and complains. Okay, has led to under enforcement of RPWD Act, diminishing the confidence of people with disabilities in the office ability to protect their rights. Means if I am an IAS officer, if I become a commissioner there, I am not taking any proactiveness. And if any complaint comes to me, also I am not able to help that person with proper what you mean to say dedication. In that case, that person will lose interest in me. He will not come to me for the next time. So in this inadequate proactiveness is another challenge that has been faced. Delayed appointments also. So you can see that persistent delays in appointing state commissions have been highlighted. This as also has a writ petition. You don't have to remember the name, year or something. But yes, in which writ petition, the name you can remember, that is Seema Girija Lal versus the Union of State. Just remember the case. You don't have to go into details of this. In this, it is talking about the persistent delay in the state commission. This is also showing the inefficiencies. Now, these are the challenges that we are facing. Now, what are the best practices and recommendations? Before we go to the best practices and recommendations, I want you to give some example here of Karnataka that is mentioned in this editorial as well. Karnataka's mobile adalats. So look at this. It is saying mobile adalat means they will have a kind of maybe a van in which these commissioners will be there and they will be going to different places. So you can see these are mobile courts. They will have a van in which you will have all the people available and all the legal advices available here. And they can have an efficient on research, searching in remote areas. Means they can go to any remote areas also. Provide on-spot grievanceal readdressal. Means on spot, if any person is coming up with some grievance, you can readdress them. So that can be done because of this particular mobile codes. This model enhances accessibility, means many people can access this responsiveness. You can immediately respond. Ensure that the right of a person with disabilities are upheld even in the undeserved regions. Means the places where you cannot go or the places where people are not aware, there also you can go and make awareness and give them whatever they need, their justice, their address their issues. That is when people will come to you, connect to you, right? This can be done. This is how Karnataka is doing. Maybe this can be implemented by other states as well. Apart from this, they have district disability management review implemented in Karnataka. It is an initiative that monitors local level implementation. So for example, if there is a Belgaum district or Bangalore district, in this district itself, we have a management review. They will check whether all the initiatives are implemented or no. Okay, disability related program, ensuring compliance and effective delivery of service and benefits. So they are going to check whether all the services benefits are done completely or no, or whether they are kind of implemented in a proper way or no, right? The next thing that we need to understand is the recommendations. Along with examples of Karnataka, what are the other recommendations that are being given? Diversify appointments. So we have seen that the challenges, see, whatever you have written in the challenge, try to give solution in the recommendation. So we had an issue with appointment, try to have proper appointment process. So from the diverse backgrounds such as law, human rights, social worker, including women with disability. So all these people are a part, then they will be able to easily connect and have a wider perspective and expertise as well. Capacity building, as I already told you that there is no capacity building. Here we need to make sure that the investment is done on the training of state commissioners, staff, focus on legal administration, technical skills, so that the effectiveness is, increased and they can perform quasi-judicial function. Enhance transparency and accountability. So we need to make sure that there is a proper dashboard and public display is done for the status of complete complaints. For example, if any person is coming with a complaint, you need to make sure what is the status of that complaint. How many cases are pending? How many cases action is being taken? All these things need to be done publicly or announced publicly or shown publicly. Okay, regular publication can be done. Promote research and collaboration. So we need to make sure that we are encouraging state commissions to engage in research collaborations with United Entitles, other organizations, like how we can have policies which will include the disabilities and how is it going to impact the societal issues, etc. So this can be done. Finally, lastly, I would like to conclude here. So we need to understand that by strengthening the role of state commissions, right, that can effectively implement our PWD Act and the protection of rights of person with disability. By addressing all the challenges like improving transparency, best practices, accountability, all these challenges can be, addressed, and we can give a proper grievance readdressal to the people with disability. So instead of saying that they are people with disability, we also call them specially abled person, so that we do not make them feel bad. We are not considering or we are not excluding them, or we are trying to overcome social exclusion as well. So these are the three important articles for today. I will meet you guys tomorrow with some other articles. Thank you everyone for your patience.